here. I am the holistic nutritionist behind Glow Nutritional Consulting, and I wanted to help you guys out if you are just not feeling good after eating so much candy. So Halloween was yesterday. If you celebrated, you may have had little ones come home with hordes and hordes and hordes of candy. I was out handing out candy last night, and there were so many fantastic costumes. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for sharing. I put out a post yesterday with my carved pumpkin that may be Instagram famous by now because so many people asked to take pictures of it. But I had posted a picture last night, and so many people threw these beautiful, incredible little ones in these fantastic costumes out. So it was such a joy to see. So thank you guys for sharing. So tonight I wanted to help you out if you have been kind of stuffing your face full of chocolates or candies or whatever. I would love to help you out. Now, this isn't to say that kind of all of that stuff is bad. It's obviously it's not helpful for you. But if you are enjoying and you're having a couple of pieces every once and again, then this is not the end of the world, and this is probably not for you. But if you feel addicted, and if you feel like the best way to get rid of it is just to eat it all, then this may be a little bit more aimed towards you to help you out. So that is the difference. So the first tip that I think I have 5 for you tonight, all built both kind of strategy and then mindset a little bit, just tips that I have either found effective for clients or that I have found effective for myself, or a mix of the two over time being a nutritionist, to make sure that you have a healthy relationship with sugar. So tip number 1 is to get it out of your face. So if your kids came home with sugar, if it is their Halloween candy, make sure that they have it up in their room or up in their closet or away from the main areas, not in the kitchen, not lying out on the counter, whatever it is, or just get it away from your face, or put it in a cupboard if it's a shared space that you're using, or just whatever you have to do, make sure it's behind a door. That alone will make a very big difference, not only for yourself, but likely for the kids too, who if they see it, they're probably going to ask for it immediately. So make sure that it is hidden behind some kind of closed door somewhere. So that would be the first thing, just to make sure that it's out of your face. Because if you have other options, or you're making dinner, how easy is it to grab something that is just out versus if it's kind of behind things in a cupboard far back. It's a lot easier to forget about it. So that would be tip number 1. Make sure it's out of your face. I'd love if you kind of hearted this, whether you were watching live or whether you are watching on the replay. Heart this video if that one resonates for you. So that would be the first tip for you. The second tip that is really helpful is to make sure you are getting enough chromium in your diet. Now, chromium is a mineral that is so important to help blood sugar balance. So when you have enough of this in your diet, you're going to feel balanced, and your energy levels are going to be stable, and you're going to not crave sugar so much because you're not going to have as drastic kind of highs and lows. You'll be a lot more kind of balanced out, and so that impacts your mood, your energy levels, your ability to lose weight is huge for this mineral. So making sure that you get enough chromium in your diet. My favorite way, and this kind of works in quite well for Halloween kind of candy craving times, my favorite way to achieve that is with raw cacao, which is raw chocolate powder. It's ground up, and you can use it very much like cocoa powder, but it's very different. So cocoa powder is roasted, and sometimes there are other processes that go on, whereas raw cacao powder is raw. And what that means is that the antioxidants are still intact. So the pieces that protect your cells, that keep your body healthy, that repair damage in the body, are still intact. There's still a high amount of antioxidants in cocoa powder, but when it's raw, there is a mass load. It's one of the most antioxidant-rich foods on the planet, and it happens to be very full of chromium, which is very, very cool, because then if you start using raw cacao, you can eat something that is chocolatey flavored, but that actually helps to balance out your blood sugar levels. That is fantastic. So you can use that. My favorite way to use it really quickly, honestly, if you have an immediate sugar craving, then one of my favorite ways to bust that craving is to throw a couple of pitted dates and almond milk and a tablespoon or two of raw cacao into a blender, a couple of ice cubes. You don't have to do the ice cubes if the almond milk's really cold. You just blend that up and it'll make like a chocolatey kind of rich frothed up milk. So that can be something that you just are able to drink down really fast and that you can make in definitely under 60 seconds. You can throw a banana in there instead of the dates. If you have a low speed blender, then a banana would probably work out better for you. You could do like kind of a tablespoon or less of pure maple syrup or something, but then you're still getting back to sugar. So then you could throw in a tablespoon or so of flax seeds as well, so that the sugar is absorbed a little slower. That will help to prevent future cravings. So that should give you guys a few ideas for making sure that you get that superfood into your diet. And actually, speaking of superfoods, I have a free guide called 7 Superfoods for Energy, and raw cacao is definitely in that guide. So you can go over and grab it at glowmc.ca/giveaway, all is one word, giveaway, and you will be able to get your hands on that. So it profiles 7 different herbs or superfoods that help to boost your energy levels, and raw cacao is one. I tell you the brands to use, how much to use, when it's safe, if there's any contraindications, when you shouldn't take it, and it has all been newly revised and updated as of about a month ago. So that is a fantastic resource if you are interested in foods changing your life and changing your energy levels. The second food that is high in chromium, it may not be high in chromium, but it is also very blood sugar balancing. So sometimes we know that things are good at doing something, but we don't know exactly why. Cinnamon kind of falls into that category. It's awesome for balancing blood sugar levels, even if you use 1/4 teaspoon of it per day. So I like to recommend to clients to make some toast, throw almond butter on it, and then throw 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon onto it, a little bit of sweetener if they need for the first few days as their taste buds adjust to this new style of eating. And then there you go. That is an awesome breakfast that has some good fats, some protein, and then also some cinnamon, which really helps to balance blood sugar levels later on in the day. Just make sure that you are eating a really awesome source of bread. Number 3, romaine lettuce and cooking in stainless steel, especially citrus things. So either tomatoes, not citrus in terms of the citrus family only, but anything that has acids in it. So tomatoes are fantastic, anything with lemons, anything like that. If you cook that in stainless steel, it will draw some chromium into the pot. I don't like doing this frequently. I don't like relying on it as a source of chromium, but it is. And if you have stainless steel water bottles and stainless steel cookware like pots and all of that, and you never use anything else, then you may be getting adequate chromium, in which case you may want to switch to the other ones and not kind of overuse this technique, because you can't really measure, whereas we know generally what an average romaine head or something else would have, we don't know exactly how much we're pulling every time. So that can be questionable, but if you don't frequently do that, if you're not frequently cooking in stainless steel, then that can be a way to make sure that you are pulling chromium into your body. And then romaine lettuce was the last chromium-rich food that I wanted to bring up tonight. Obviously, you can throw this into salads or whatever, but that can be a fairly chromium-rich food to include in your diet to help your blood sugar levels, so that so the kind of base reason for that is, if this is your kind of ideal blood sugar levels, then if you have something sweet, your blood sugar levels can spike and then they can crash. And at the crash point, that is where you're going to crave more sugar. And the problem is, what your body needs at that point is slow digesting carbs, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. but it's going for the fastest because your brain is fueled on glucose, which is broken down sugar, or just regular sugar. You're going to be craving more of the fastest possible source. So if you're eating sugar and then you crash from it, then you're going to crave sugar here. And then you eat sugar and then you're going to crash from it, and then you're going to crave sugar here. And this is a nasty, nasty cycle that can certainly happen around Halloween, when it's always present, when it's always out, when you go for just one more bar. Oh, just one more bar, they're so small, all of that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. So instead of that, when your blood sugar levels are a little more balanced, and when you eat complex carbs, which is my next tip, then your blood sugar levels stay pretty stable throughout the day, which is great. That's absolutely what you want. And when that happens, you are no longer crashing and then craving sugar. And this can make such a phenomenal difference when you actually get enough complex carbohydrates into your body. Not only will you start to notice your energy levels take off, but you will find your mental energy coming back on, and you will find that you can pass by cravings really easily. Now, the one caveat to this that I will say is if you have craved sugar for a long time, or you see sugar and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need that, like fiending it, then usually there is a yeast imbalance component, which requires a strict cleanse and diet, and then a redose with probiotics at the other side of it. So that is something that I offer and run with clients who really, really need to get sugar out of their lives and break that addiction so that they can move on and actually walk past sugar. So if that's more you, then feel free to get in touch with me here at Glow Nutritional Consulting. You can just send me a message here or let me know in the comments, and I will get in touch with you personally. So we can chat about a few options for working together. So that would be the only kind of caveat to this. Restoring blood sugar balance is so important, but if it's become a genuine problem, that's a little bit more the time where a stronger action is needed. So tip number 3 is to eat more complex carbohydrates. So I alluded to this a little bit before, so I'll go over it quickly now. But making sure that you're eating complex carbs. Complex carbs are carbohydrates that come in strands and strands and strands of glucose. So if you look at them you'll be able to find, oh, somebody just popped on, hello. They have these strands and strands of glucose, which takes your body, Angie, oh my gosh, how are you? Oh my gosh, I saw your little one last night, and I'm so, how are you doing? I would love to hear it in the comments or in a message after. I'm so happy to have you here, I'm honored, thank you. So tip number 3 is to make sure that you eat more complex carbohydrates. So that is because they take longer to be broken down. And so when they take longer to be broken down, you're constantly getting a little bit of energy and fuel all the time. So tired. I bet you are. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to send you a message after this because I would love to catch up and hear how you are doing. Oh, so sweet. I am so happy for you. Okay, awesome. So when you are making sure that you're eating enough complex carbs, you're going to get a constant flow of energy and glucose into your body. That's going to keep your brain active and energized, but it's also going to mean that you never hit that crash point. So I mentioned before that if you're eating candy, your blood sugar levels spike and then they crash. And at the low point, that means you're going to crave sugar again to boost those levels back up. And then you'll crash again, and then at the low point, you'll crave sugar again. So it's your body's mechanism of saying, I'm out of fuel, my brain's not working, so I'm going to eat something really, really sweet to boost it back up as quickly as I can. Now what should happen instead of that is to have complex carbs that will bring your levels up slowly, but will keep you stabilized afterwards. So things like lentils, things like beans and whole grains or overnight oats. There are so many great recipes out there for things like that. I have a favorite lentil patty recipe that I can post here if you guys would like after. That's great for breakfast. You can make the dough ahead of time, then you can just have it in the fridge all week and just kind of fry it up before you are having breakfast. That's a great option. Otherwise, kind of hummus or bean types of burritos, breakfast burritos and stuff can be really, really helpful that way too. Eating more complex carbs is something that is really, really important to prevent the cravings from happening in the first place. So that is number 3. Number 4, and if you guys have any specific questions, please let me know. Is to make healthier treats for yourself. So this is something I mentioned. Tip number 1 at the beginning was to get the candy out of your face. So have it in a closet or have it in a cupboard or have it somewhere where there's a door that closes. Because you can just imagine yourself if you have that hidden and then out on the counter you have either fresh baked healthy cookies, or you have there are these chickpea brownies that I made for my sister when she was in the postpartum period. That's a fantastic recipe and they're so healthy, and every time she has them now she totally is brought back to that time frame. But there are different things that you can make that are very nutritive and very healthy, but still have kind of that satiating component to them. So I can post afterwards, if you guys would like, I can post the chickpea brownie recipe that I use into the comment section. There's also a cheesecake smoothie recipe that we just love. We've been having it every single morning. It's absolutely fantastic, and it tastes like a lemon strawberry cheesecake all into a smoothie. So that can be something. But if you have these things for yourself, or if they're easy to make, or you have all the ingredients, then you can have something out that's much, much healthier for yourself that actually takes care of your body instead of stealing nutrients from your body. So just as a quick kind of aside for sugar, when you take that in, your body actually loses nutrients in the processing of it, and specifically it loses a lot of B vitamins in the processing of that sugar. And B vitamins are essential for energy and ability to cope with stress. So when you're constantly depleting that with more sugar in at various times throughout the day, you can really start to burn out your ability to handle stresses. So that is something that is really, really important that you help to offset and balance with something like chickpeas or chickpea brownies or something like that gives you a whole bunch of B vitamins in addition to antioxidants and all kinds of stuff that help to balance you out while you are ingesting something that is a little bit sweet. So that is number 4. Number 5, the last thing that I wanted to let you guys know, if you are trying to avoid diving into buckets and buckets and buckets of candy, is to make sure that you do not have coffee on an empty stomach. Now, in the same way that I mentioned before, coffee also spikes your blood sugar levels, which means that you crash your blood sugar levels after that, and at the crash point is where you will always crave more sugar. You will crave the fastest possible way to get your brain turned back on. That's what your body is going to do. And so to eliminate those cravings, you just want to make sure that your blood sugar levels remain a lot more stable. So a lot of these tips were in place tonight to help you achieve that, and making sure that you do not have coffee on an empty stomach is one of the next ways to do that. So that wraps it up for tonight, but I see you guys in here, so let me know if you have any questions or challenges with sugar. I would love to help you out, and then otherwise I will be here recapping. So tip number 1 is to get sugar out of your face. Just have it behind a cupboard, a door, something, donate it, get it out, whatever, just have it out of your face. Tip number 2 is to increase the amount of chromium in your diet. That is one of the minerals involved with blood sugar balance, and when your blood sugar levels are a lot more balanced, you can you have much more energy and you're no longer craving sugar at the crash points. I see a comment here, so I'm just going to read it. Thank you. Can you post a postpartum food video for milk supply? On energy, sometimes my little one has lots of gas and cramping and I'm breastfeeding. I would love to. That is such a great idea. I will make sure that I do that. And I have so many recipes and ideas. You just flooded my brain with them because one of the things that I did for my sister was cooked just a ton of food and put it all in the freezer for her. And so I would love to kind of share those, because one of these things, which I'm so excited about, I've seen all these things for lactation cookies, And some of them are good and some of them are bad, and some of them you can get down, and some of them you can just put enough chocolate in that it covers up some of the herb tastes. But one of the things that I made differently was making lactation muffins. And what's awesome about those is that you can actually add a lot more stuff to them in a base of oats that is just so much more nutritive altogether. So I will be sure to post some. I'll probably do it in writing instead of a video, just because that might be easier for you to go through. But if you prefer a video, let me know, and I would be happy to do that. I will keep that in the front of my brain here. Tip number 3 tonight was to eat more complex carbs. That helps to keep your blood sugar levels stable so that you do not, in fact, crash your blood sugar levels and then crave more sugar. Tip number 4 was to make healthier treats for yourself. I will post a couple of recipes as I promised underneath this video in a minute, and those will help you out. And the number 5 is to make sure that you do not have coffee on an empty stomach. So make sure that you are drinking it, if you do at all, make sure that you're drinking it with food or after food. That can make a big difference to your blood sugar levels. So, I hope that helped you out. Thank you so much for connecting. Angie, I can't wait to get in touch with you in just a second. And otherwise, I will definitely do that breastfeeding nutrition information and help for you and post some recipes. So thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys had an awesome and totally safe Halloween, and I will catch back up with you next Wednesday. I think should work. So next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you. Okay, good night.